From tornadoes to hurricanes, blizzards, and everything in between, you're listening to the Stormfront Freaks podcast. The Stormfront Freaks are former television meteorologist Mark Massaro, atmospheric science graduate and skywarn storm spotter Brady Harris, digital meteorologist and weather producer on the Weather Channel app Dina Knightley, former on-camera meteorologist at the Weather Channel Kim Cunningham, Emmy-winning storm chaser and photographer Chris Sanner, and I'm your announcer and Skywarn Network coordinator Mark Johnson. Now, here's the moderator of the Stormfront Freaks podcast, Skywarn storm spotter and chaser Phil Johnson.
Hey, welcome to the most entertaining weather podcast on your listening and viewing device. This is the Stormfront Freaks podcast. If you are a first-time listener, thanks for checking us out. Be sure to go to stormfrontfreaks.com and check out the library of previous shows and famous guests from the weather industry. But this is episode 51. We are joined by meteorologist and CEO of the Extreme Weather Experience, which is an edutainment, right? Edutainment concept. I like that word. We'll talk about that. But we'll also be discussing long-range forecasts and how far can we really go accurately. But don't forget to stick around. We'll have our WX resources that you'll want to have. And we'll always have the good old Weather Fools segment, which is so popular now, it even has its own T-shirt. So,
they're pretty cool.
They are pretty cool. And really, on that note, you've got to check out our new and ever-increasing line of apparel from HelicityDesigns.com. So along with our Only You Can Prevent #WeatherFools T-shirt. So that's the T-shirt. It's awesome. We also have a logo shirt. We have our Lightning Round Tour shirt with guests from the first 50 episodes, which we talked about last episode. And Eric, I apologize because you're on episode 51, so you didn't make this the first round of the T-shirt, but I'm sure we'll have a second round of that tour we'll get you on.
Okay.
And starting tonight, you can get the What Are You Drinking T-shirt, which you have to see to believe because there is a little Twister reference, I guess, on it. You can get this exclusive merchandise by visiting stormfrontfreaks.com. You can click on our store tab that has direct access to Helicity Designs. And as part of our agreement, every episode we will announce to our podcast listeners. So you get a new way to get an extra 5% off your entire order. So we're going to do this every episode. We're going to give you a code to get you 5% off your entire Helicity Designs order, but we're going to change it every episode. So the new code that you can enter at checkout is STORM. STORM, and I think I spelled that correctly because last show it was something different and I misspelled it.
You had Strom Thurman on, didn't you, last time?
I think it was, yes. So anyway, be sure to browse the entire collection of weather-themed clothing, swimwear, shoes, accessories, and products. It's all from Helicity Designs, and it's available at stormfrontfreaks.com. All right, so hey, the best way to introduce our co-hosts, and we got two of them tonight, along with myself, is to share what everybody is drinking. It helps us to explain the casual atmosphere that we're in. But we're a little short tonight. We've got birthdays. We got people going to playoff hockey games, and some that actually are going to worthwhile storm spotter training.
Can we actually call this the Area 51 instead of episode 51? Because everybody's missing.
That's a good point.
Right?
That might be a good name for the show. But let's step up to the bar. Maz, we'll start with you since you like to talk. What are you drinking tonight?
Wow, really? Okay.
You started it, man.
Okay. Hey, I've got my Killian's Irish Red tonight.
Killian's.
Yeah. I was looking for something dark in the fridge, and I'm like, it's red. It's close. It's close. It's actually very good. Yeah.
That's good. All right. Hey, Chris Sanner in Oklahoma City. Chris, What are you drinking?
Tonight, to step up to the plate, Phil, I'm stepping up tonight, just so you know. Tonight, I am drinking German dark, just tea. It's just tea. Sorry, Phil. I'm kidding. Everyone got all excited. I'm sorry. Tea and water, of course, right here. Just water.
You realize you can only cry wolf so many times.
Yeah, but before it just loses its effect. Yeah. But tonight, it's just I had to step up.
Very good.
Okay.
All right, and our guest, Eric. Now you're down where in Florida, Eric?
So I'm sitting in my work office here at Florida International University in Miami.
In Miami. Okay, so Erik's down in Miami, and he knows that we like to keep the fridge stocked, but he is at work, and you know what happens when you're at work is it's probably not going to be overly exciting. But Erik, I know you're drinking something. What are you drinking at our bar tonight?
Yeah, because I am at work, right, sitting in my work office, I'm drinking the hard stuff, the zero vitamin water. So that's what I have for the program tonight.
Is it zero vitamins?
It has vitamins, but 0 calories.
Oh,
something
okay.
like that.
All right.
It's a personal favorite of mine too, just for the record.
Okay.
Because there's no vitamins in my beer either. I'm just saying.
No, there is not. All right, Sandra, let's go ahead and give Erik a good formal introduction.
Okay. Well, tonight's guest is Erik Salna. Is that right, Erik? Good.
That's correct.
Okay, just making sure. I don't want to mess that up. I should have asked that beforehand. Phil. We need to step this up. But anyways, tonight's guest is Erik Salna, meteorologist and CEO of the Extreme Weather Experience. Erik is a meteorologist and currently associate director of visualization, communication, public education, and engagement for the Extreme Events Institute and the International Hurricane Research Center at Florida International University in Miami. Erik is also CEO of Extreme Weather Experience, a one-of-a-kind concept to develop a national network of weather education/entertainment, that's edutainment for you at home, through experiential, immersive, and interactive hands-on weather-themed attractions, rides, and exhibits. That's a mouthful, Erik. You do a lot of really cool stuff. I was actually looking into some of the stuff you do. So just on the very surface, I usually ask people, how do you get interested in weather? That's too boring tonight. What is the Extreme Weather Experience? Give people listening a quick rundown of what you guys do.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for that. Well, Extreme Weather Experience, imagine being literally immersed in a hurricane, or you're immersed in the tornado, or you're immersed in the flash flood, and where you see it, feel it, touch it, experience it, and because of that experience, you're then going to become empowered, educated, and motivated to protect yourself, be safe, and prepare your home and business and family.
Do people get wet?
People will get wet. People are going to get scared. People are going to feel like they're actually there. So we wanted to take weather, which we all are, really just interested in, for sure, but take the weather science and take these extreme weather events across the country and put people actually in that event, and for a big purpose. As we said, it's entertainment and it's education. So we do have education behind all the entertainment and all the special effects, but it's having you experience it and then learn at the same time, and that's the takeaways. So we want to take what you might typically see in a science museum in terms of an exhibit per se, or an attraction somewhere, but especially science museums, and take it into a whole new level with this immersive technologies that we're seeing coming online quickly now, virtual reality, augmented reality, and still apply various levels of special effects that you might see at a Disney attraction as well, put it all together into something that's going to be really cool and unforgettable, a memorable experience. That's what we're going to be creating.
Okay, we don't want to spoil too much because we want people to experience this and feel like it's fresh, but kind of walk people listening to this through like what that looks like. Like what would it be like to visit the Extreme Weather Experience?
Well, we're going to start out with Extreme Weather Experiences as prototypes or beta testers, so to speak, and then eventually work our way up. Eventually, we may be a place that you would come to that would have a variety of extreme weather experiences. But initially, if we start with one extreme weather experience, so let's just say pick a topic, the flight of the hurricane hunters into the hurricane, into the eye of the storm. And so a lot of what this will entail too is called storytelling. Storytelling is so key with any event, with any special event. We hear survival stories. We hear people talk about what it was like to be through that tornado or be through that hurricane. So we're going to take for example, let's say the hurricane hunter, and do the storytelling on what they do. So imagine you're going to now first see them get their weather briefing about the storm. Where is the storm? What's the size of the storm? What are the coordinates? And then they get their pre-flight weather briefing. What's going to be on the way to the storm? And then you're going to then enter into the plane and now actually be a hurricane hunter. And then that's when things can get very exciting as you fly into that eye of the storm. But before you get to the eye of the storm, you're gonna ride through that eye wall, get into the center, and then you're gonna go out the other side. So through all of that, you'll not only experience it, feel it, but then you'll learn the importance of the role that they have, right? We need to have these hurricane hunters fly into the storm, get that data that's so critical for the computer models for track forecasting and intensity forecasting. So then the takeaways will be then, the science, how they get that information, but then the importance to be prepared if a storm comes your way.
That sounds like a cool experience. How long is the experience for someone?
Well, it right now we're looking at, when we start scaling. So a larger attraction will take about 20 minutes or so if you have a complete full story. If we have a smaller sized exhibit attraction, then probably a 5 to 10 minute film with experience. But with complete storytelling, it'll be at least a 20 minute beginning, middle, and end.
That's getting your money's worth. You go to Disney and you're like done in 45 seconds. What the heck? And I stood in line for 2 hours. That's why 20 minutes, that's awesome.
Well, and that's because, and Disney has perfected this whole thing of a beginning, middle, and end. Usually obviously you're going to be what they call in a queue zone, and Disney have perfected that where you kind of wind your way in line. You're going to see monitors or have education, and then you may enter that first room. And that first room is not the actual experience. It's yet before you get to that. So in there, that's when you'll see more information. As it's a buildup. It's all about building up to then when the doors open up, there you go. You now enter that either P-3 NOAA Hurricane Hunter aircraft or the C-130 Hurricane Hunter aircraft. You get inside, you'll take your seats, and then prepare for the wild ride.
What kind of technology, Erik, that you already know is out there interests you the most, and how do you want to apply that to your concept? So, because you've talked about the 3D and the 360 and all that kind of stuff, but what's the thing that really excites you the most and how you'd want to see that applied?
Well, right now, virtual reality, and we see how far that has come. Now, the theme parks are working on it. They've already employed it. They're using it on roller coasters. We're seeing it used in many different applications. They're quickly making headway on the connectivity with the headset and so on and so forth. But that virtual reality where you really feel immersed is certainly very intriguing, and we're looking to utilize. We know there's augmented reality as well, but that virtual reality, having that feeling like you're there, and then as you said, are you going to get wet? So now you bring in those conventional special effects that are tried and true with the warm air, cold air, water, wind, thunder, sound effects. Now you're really going to feel like you're in it, and depending on the environment, whether you'll be seated or not seated, and then you'll be moving in that environment as well. So virtual reality is the quick answer, but there's other ways still with 360, 8K resolution film, things that you can display that people don't even need headsets. So we're gonna, each and every attraction will kind of probably use a little bit of a different mix, if you will, of some of the special effects and with some of these immersive special effects as well.
So where'd this whole idea come from, Erik?
Well, this all started when one day I was walking through Epcot with my dad. And I don't know if you've all been to Epcot or not.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But Epcot, for me, as a meteorologist walking through Epcot, I saw the land, I saw the sea, but I didn't see the air. I was like, hey, where's the atmosphere? That's when I first got hit in the head with this big dream vision of, wait a minute, look what they're doing here as attractions with these topics. And Epcot is a part of Disney World that was purposely to be a place to have some education with entertainment. We're actually learning some things, a different approach from, the Magic Kingdom. There's some education at the Animal Kingdom, but they definitely wanted to bring the two together at Epcot. And so that's when I first got the thought about, wait a minute, I think this is a meteorology, atmospheric sciences, that could really play itself out in an exciting way using the same kind of, techniques that Disney has been doing. So that's how it all got started. And then from there, I just started researching the science museum industry, what they're doing in the science museum besides theme parks. And over the years, we've seen technology advance as well. So, and now timing is everything, as they say. Weather is so much in the forefront of everyone's mind. It's in the media. It's the topic of conversation. And people are feeling it and seeing it, extreme weather events. And so with all these climate change issues and sea level rise and extreme weather events, it's so timely that now's the time if this is going to, move forward, this is the time to do it.
So how long has this been in the making in your mind? Like when did you go to Epcot and had that first experience? And then,
believe it or not, this goes back to the 90s.
Okay.
So this is mid to late 90s. And that's when it first started. And then, I almost had a meeting with Disney World back then at the time. It didn't pan out. It didn't happen at that time, but that's okay. Because since then, the journey has meant, what is out there in the industry already? How much meteorology is being presented in this way? And by the way, Epcot, they called it in-house the head fake, where you had entertainment and then they threw in some education. In-house, the Imagineers call it the head fake. So we're going to kind of in-house kind of use the same thing as well and do the same kind of methodology. But looking at over the years since then in science museums across the country, weather exhibits are out there. And today there's maybe more weather exhibits that you'll see at some of your local science museums than there used to be. But it's still a very untapped area, I feel, not only for education, but since then, this whole topic of resilience and how can communities and cities be resilient to the kind of climate and weather events we'll be seeing, moving forward. There's so much content there now that could really play itself out. And so through the years then seeing what science museums have done with exhibits, but beyond that, there is nothing. There are no attraction type exhibits, Disney kind of theme park exhibits where the people have taken weather in a big way. There was one exhibit though, I will say, that was at Epcot, and that was called Stormstruck. And it just was closed down about last year. And it was a smaller scale, about 1,500 square foot type exhibit where it was about mitigation. And they worked with the Federal Alliance for Safe Homes, FLASH, and they worked with some corporate sponsors. And Disney took the idea of mitigation and said, okay, how can we make this interesting? So in that case, it was a 3D theater. So first outside, there was a Q zone where you saw Jim Cantori talking about hurricane force winds. Then you went into theater and you watched through computer animation, you watched a hurricane blow through a neighborhood and you saw all the damage to the buildings and the houses. And then you had computers in front of you where you would then answer a series of questions about how could we make that house stronger using shutters or the garage door, even the vegetation. So how can we mitigate to change the outcome? And then they replayed that same hurricane through that neighborhood, same neighborhood, and you saw the result. You saw the result of far less damage. And so that was a great example of what we want to do moving forward, to even at a larger scale and a bigger level with even more of this new technology, that same concept. So if you can empower the user, make them feel like that they also can make a change, and they can make a change, get them thoroughly engaged and connected that way, that's another very useful technique.
This is cool.
Yeah.
No, you go ahead. I'm just like,
Yeah.
wow, I'm enamored by this whole thing.
Yeah, it's a really cool concept. What kind of timeline are you looking at right now, Erik, into the future?
Well, right now, this is the year we're looking to actually make it a reality. A team has been formed. I have just an absolutely off the chart all-star team of advisors from the Weather Enterprise that have heard my wild and crazy idea. And I looked at them and said, listen, is this crazy? Should I stop the madness? And each and every one of them said, no, full speed ahead. I said,
yeah,
okay.
You got some big names. You got some big names helping you out there.
Well, I've been blessed with, folks like Max Mayfield, former director of the Hurricane Center, Dr. Rick Knabb, who's at the Weather Channel now, Jim Cantori. I have Disney Imagineers, former Disney Imagineers come together on the team, and NOAA folks, people with no education. So it's an absolute all-star lineup from different agencies and within, as I said, weather, that say, yeah, this is needed and this could really work, and how cool this could really be. And so, with them helping in the last several years, we've been doing a lot of planning. This is the year that we're going to be looking to create our first extreme weather experience. And we are in dialogue with the American Meteorological Society. They're going to be celebrating their centennial next year, 2019. And so we are in conversation with them, and we're hoping to possibly do an extreme weather experience to culminate their 100-year anniversary. The AMS conference in 2020 is going to be in Boston, and their grand finale of celebrating 100 years of AMS, to do it with an extreme weather experience, to tell the AMS story and how far the science of meteorology has come and where we're going to be going to, and how society has worked with the Weather Enterprise. And so we're in dialogue with them, and that'll be happening by 2020, but that could be one of our first clients.
You talked about a little bit, Erik, kind of a traveling exhibit potentially with other museums. I guess asking a little bit, so what's the next step? So you said this is the year that we really want to get going on it. What is the next step for you guys? And is that AMS experience, is that something you foresee being a part of maybe a traveling exhibit?
That'll be ultimately decided once we talk with and finalize, the proposed plan with AMS. It could stay permanently at the Boston Museum of Science, and as we said, that's the home city for AMS, where they're headquartered, or it could travel. And we'll have to decide that for sure. We don't know. We're also in dialogue with our local science museum here in Fort Lauderdale, the Museum of Discovery and Science, and they are very interested, and they like the traveling concept of taking an extreme weather experience and have it travel as well. So traveling has been, with our group, certainly on the table, and we've been, looking at it that way. Or another part of it can be a permanent installation at an entertainment venue. And so we are looking at, when we say entertainment venues, there's movie theaters, there's shopping malls, there's a smaller size theme parks, family education destination centers, if you will. So smaller size developments that would maybe like to see something like this added to their, what they offer in terms of value and entertainment to the visitor.
So is one of the greatest challenges finding a time in Cantori's schedule?
Yes. Finding a time in all our schedules. But absolutely, Jim, he's everywhere all the time, right? As many of you are, and we understand that. So, but he is supportive. And by the way, you've probably heard that the Weather Channel was sold and bought by a new company.
By a new person, sort of, yeah.
It was bought by a new entertainment company. So it'll be interesting to see how that will moving forward for the Weather Channel and what will mean that for them with new ownership. And if, as the Weather Channel possibly being involved or a partner or in some way supportive of extreme weather experience, we'll just have to wait and see.
Well, tell us, I guess, give us an idea too, Erik, with obviously what you're doing with hurricanes right now and hurricane season coming up here pretty soon. Tell us what you're doing right now, what excites you most about maybe something you're working on and how that played into your concept in putting this whole experience together.
Well, ramping up to the beginning of the hurricane season, we do here at the Extreme Events Institute, we do a big education event at the local science museum, the one I mentioned in Fort Lauderdale. So right now, I handle a lot of the education outreach activities that we do here. And so it's called Eye of the Storm. And essentially, in any community that prepares for hurricanes, they may have like a local hurricane expo, local emergency management will, have a either at a local big hall or maybe a convention center. But we decided to take this Hurricane Expo concept and bring it into a science museum environment. And so we just take all the same topics. We have our guest speakers, we have our different groups and organizations, American Red Cross, Salvation Army, emergency management, but package it differently within a science museum. And again, now bring the two together, the entertainment and the education together in one event. And we're lucky here because where we are, who participates, National Hurricane Center's on our campus, National Weather Service Miami office on our campus. They are part of it. AOML, the NOAA Hurricane Research Division research team on Key Biscayne, they coordinate the P3 mission, so they come out as the hurricane hunters. And we bring all of this in a science museum environment, and it's totally free. It's funded by a grant. It's free to the community. So for moms and dads and kids to come on out, we bring an air cannon, and we do live air cannon demonstrations where we shoot those 2x4s at Shutter Products to show the value of protecting your windows. And we bring Owly Skywarn down from Washington, D.C., and we do live Owly Skywarn shows.
Hey, you don't use the air cannon to shoot T-shirts into the crowd, do you?
No, we don't do that. We don't do that.
That might be dangerous.
Even a T-shirt at 300 miles an hour is going to hurt.
Yes.
I mean, it does show the danger of flying debris, though. I'm just saying.
Well, and flying debris is flying debris, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, but I love what you're saying because we do bring, a fun time to the event, an entertainment time to the event. You can't beat Owly Skywarn dancing around on the stage. You can't beat this air cannon, but bringing all these people together in that way for the common cause of education. And see, what you've brought up there is not only education, but entertainment, humor, the arts, music, all of those elements, all of those techniques can be very effective and make an impact when you want to educate. So that event has all the different kinds of elements that we know that it will be a part of extreme weather experience as well. So that's one way to answer your question. And I do want to mention that here we also have what's called the Wall of Wind, where we create Category 5 hurricane conditions. We have 12 giant fans, and we build structures, blow them apart. They actually pay me for it, as I always jokingly say. It's a great experience. But we have an event where we bring high school teams in, and they build a structure and they test it in the Wall of Wind, and it's just an unforgettable experience for them. And so that's a great event that's coming up in May as well as we ramp up to that hurricane season. Very exciting. And when you think about research and a research facility like the Wall of Wind, where we take a structure and blow it apart, could you imagine that being an attraction in extreme weather experience, where you now are sitting in that structure that is now going to be blown apart by the Wall of Wind, or maybe not, if it has hurricane straps and has shutters. So see how you can take some of that drama and research and throw it into an experience as well.
Eric, here's the drama I want to see. I want to see the TV series Wall of Wind After Hours.
Okay.
I want to see what you guys do in that place when you're not actually doing studies. That's what I want to see.
Wasn't that Brady's nickname, the Wall of Wind?
Yeah. All right, boys, you got any other questions for Eric right now?
So is this gonna, do I have to start saving money now type thing, or what are your anticipations of this?
Well, a couple of different ways you can participate. You want to, break out your checkbook. We're always looking for, sponsorships or investors.
I fell right into that, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Or you set them up, one of those.
So sponsors and investors will come into play. Possible when we do open up with the grand opening. I'd love you all to be there for the ribbon cutting, and I'll let you come in for free. How's that?
Wow.
Man.
We'll take.
I like it.
Throw in some time in the Wall of Wind, and I'm there. All right, hey Eric, how can people find you on social media and also find more about the extreme weather experience?
Well, it's real simple. We just have a landing page at this point, which will be expanding, extremeweatherexperience.com. If you go there, you'll get all my contact information. We are on Twitter as well. So that's where we are today, but that'll be expanding very soon. So simply go to that landing page and then just stay tuned, because more will be coming up, certainly, as we move farther into this year.
And then do you have a personal social media account or anything like that?
A personal one, I do not.
Okay, very good.
Just cell phone and social security number?
That's right.
Yes.
It's tax season. Hey, it's tax season. So it is time for our lightning round. So this is our game show of brilliant questions for our guests. We always invite everybody to play along, so feel free to play along tonight. So obviously Eric's got this huge hurricane background. We would be remiss not to bring back our favorite game show, Hurricane or Supermodel. So Eric, here's how this baby works. I'm going to give you a name, and you either need to tell me, is that the name of a popular supermodel, or is that and this is how I had to make it a little difficult for you, because you're around hurricanes so much. I couldn't just pick, names of 2018 hurricanes. These are going to be either names of supermodels or names of even year Atlantic replacement names. Atlantic hurricane replacement names. So these are the names that are in waiting, right, for any Atlantic hurricane on even number years that gets taken out because maybe it's Hurricane Harvey, maybe it's Irma, something like that, right, where you're bringing one in. But these are even year Atlantic replacement names. Are you with me so far?
I think so. I'm curious where you got this replacement list of names.
Yeah, who's getting fired over that? Who leaked that?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'm not going to leak what this is. So if this is bogus crap, which it could be, then you just better be damn good with your supermodel names. That's what it comes down to. All right, so here we go. And freaks, you can help persuade Eric if you'd like to choose one or the other. But we're going to start with name number one. Is Nadia. Nadia, is that a supermodel name, or is that a name of a potential replacement?
It's a replacement.
You are correct. Nadia is a potential replacement name, even number years in the Atlantic, right? So I don't know what the 2018 N, what is the 2018 N hurricane name or tropical storm name? That's what could potentially be replaced, right? All right, next one. Number two is Warren. Warren, is that a name of a supermodel in the 2010s, or is that a potential replacement name?
I'm going to go replacement.
I think that's a pretty good guess. I don't know many supermodels
Wait,
whose name is Warren.
isn't that a hurricane hunter? Warren.
Yes,
Could
there
be.
Yeah.
Right? We had him on,
right?
Warren Madden.
We had a previous guest that way. All right, number 3, you're 2 for 2. This is going pretty well. All right, number 3 is Kate. Kate, supermodel or potential hurricane name?
Hurricane name.
You would be incorrect. It would be Kate
No.
Upton. Kate Upton, supermodel we're covering there. All right, number 4, Brooklyn. Brooklyn, supermodel or potential hurricane name?
Supermodel.
Yeah, that's
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep, you're
Yeah.
correct. Brooklyn Decker is our supermodel there. Number 5 is Gabe. Now, is Gabe the name of a suave supermodel, or is that a potential hurricane?
Supermodel.
That is a potential hurricane or tropical.
I thought Phil was really throwing one.
I know, I thought
I'm
that's what
I'm
Yeah.
expecting the twist any second now.
I got to mix it up. You're all about that, Santa. You should know that, right? Got to mix it up. All right, here we go. Number 6 is Luke. Luke, supermodel or potential hurricane? Tropical.
Potential hurricane name.
Luke Worrell would be actually a supermodel. Number 7, Adriana. Adriana. Does that sound like a supermodel or a potential tropical storm hurricane name?
Let's go supermodel.
Yeah, I think
You would be correct. Adriana Lima. That's definitely a supermodel name, I think. Here we go. This number 8 could be close. Faith. Supermodel or potential hurricane?
Supermodel.
I'm going hurricane.
Maz would be correct on that one. That is the F replacement for any even numbered Atlantic tropical storms. Number 9, Despina. Despina. Despina, supermodel, potential hurricane.
I'm going to go supermodel again.
It's gotta be supermodel.
Yeah, that's
That's where it catches you. That is actually the D potential hurricane name, Despina. They'll throw a couple of those exotic names in there every once in a while, right? Get away from names like Warren. No offense if your name is Warren, but get to those
funny.
kind of exotic names.
They're making them hard for the meteorologists who drink because they're like, coming up next to
Despina.
This
Right, because it's always
brutal.
those who pronounce different ways. All right, number 10. This is the last one. Here we go, Eric. Cole. Cole, is that supermodel or potential hurricane?
Potential hurricane name.
That is a supermodel. Cole
Wow.
Moore. Cole Moore is some dude that's some popular 2010.
Well, at least you know Eric's not trolling the supermodels all day long.
That is true. That is true. Eric, anyway, hey, thanks for playing Hurricane or Supermodel with us. You actually did pretty good for something that, in all honesty, I looked up because I thought, God, I can't just use real hurricane names. I got to look up potential names. They've got to have the list of potential replacements. And Eric, are you calling BS on that? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because I'm not sure if that really exists.
Right, I'll have to find that website. If that's the case, it will be on our Weather Fools on the next episode.
But it may very well be.
But who knows? All right. So anyway, great job on that. Thanks for playing along, Eric. We're going to go ahead and take our first break. If you're listening to the audio podcast, you'll get to hear the latest edition of the Titan U Minute with Chris Sanner. But go ahead and stay right here. We're going to be back to discuss how well we're doing on our 7, 10, 14, and even 40-day weather outlooks. All right. Hey, welcome back, everybody. You know, AccuWeather, I want everybody to know AccuWeather right now is telling me that on May 28th, which is Memorial Day this year, that is 39 days from right now, they're telling me that it will be 79 degrees here in Cincinnati with brilliant sunshine, okay? So that's the question. You know, media outlets are all trying to one-up each other with having extended forecasts that have gotten well past the 1 week range. the question I have for all of you guys is, how accurate can we really be, Erik? And I'll start with you. What's realistic with giving people an extended weather forecast?
Well, you're right. It is a trend. I still freelance TV weather work on occasion, and for even a station in Fort Myers, Florida, and they're showing the 10-day forecast. Years ago we were 5, and then we went 7, and now 10, and that's a recent addition. And sometimes I wonder, is that consultant driven or not? What are the viewers? Are the viewers pushing for that? And what do they think of the accuracy? Well, to answer your question too, for us presenting that information, the models have gotten better, but out 3 days, then 5 days, but we know we're starting to push the accuracy day 6, day 7, but day 8, 9, and 10, they're, especially in the mid latitudes with the timing of weather systems, that can change. They can change from day to day. So after a while, if the public really starts writing down what the accuracy was, are they going to start to lose faith? I don't know. I'm just not sure.
Yeah. Basically, if 10-day weather forecasts were correct, especially models, I would be right now in the Texas Panhandle with 3,500 Cape. It would be an amazing supercell day. And storm season will have begun. We have 4 days of chasing straight right now. And this is the best weekend of the year so far. So yeah, I'm a little bitter right now about long-term forecasts.
I can't believe you missed that.
I know. I can't believe I missed that.
So you're saying that's what it was saying 10 days ago.
Yeah, that's literally like a week or so ago. That's what it was saying. Because I've been having to plan out a little bit in advance this year, just kind of like, we need to be watching for chases this year and such. I've got a little bit more of a hectic schedule. So I saw that, and I remember seeing this agenda. So I went back and looked at screenshots I took and was sending in our private chats and stuff. And seriously, it's a great chase day today. I don't know why I'm sitting here in Oklahoma City. It was amazing how accurate those never mind. But
So why are we doing it if we can't forecast that out that far, and really and from what you guys are saying, really even get that close? Why are we doing it, and why are we doing, even now we're getting past 10?
You know what's funny is when I was taking a vacation to Nashville, guess what I was doing? I was looking out as far as possible just to get an inkling of what. Now I know that everything changes, and if there's rain on one day and then it's dry and rain on the next day, I'm like, oh crud. The odds are it's probably going to rain on the day I'm looking for. But you're still, whether someone's planning a wedding, they're going to take a vacation to the beach, whatever it is, AccuWeather wasn't the first to do this. It was the Farmer's Almanac.
mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, they did it for seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
And we looked at it. And we laughed, but we looked. We're like, well, we'll check that day. And then we forgot to check that day. Right.
Yeah.
It was so far out.
Well, that's
we'll always want it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, too, is that you can get away with it, especially in broadcast, because people actually don't check your work 10 days out. There, you issue so many forecasts between day 10 and day 1 that, no one's going to remember what you said 10 days ago about what's happening today, unless you just go way over the top, and very few people actually do that. So you can if you notice, especially in broadcast, there's usually a trend to flatten out the forecast at the 7 to 10 day mark. You're not calling for record-breaking temperatures or a big severe weather outbreak on TV usually 10 days out, but you're usually going to say there's a chance of rain, 75 or something, something like that. So that helps that's a communication trick, because you send so much information between then and now that you can kind of just get away with it. Truth be told.
Despina, she's going to be looking that up.
Yes,
that's right. Yeah. Matt, what were you guys doing when you were on the air? How far out were you?
We were doing, well, when I first started, we were doing 5 days, and that was back in the 80s. And then the last station I was at was in Cincinnati, and we were doing 7. And I will tell you, because this still sticks in my craw a little bit. I'm off the air now, so I can say whatever the heck I want. But I remember On the 7th day of the 7-day forecast, I changed it by 10 degrees. And I had they had sent the assistant news director upstairs to the weather cave, which is where we are, the weather cave. And they're like, we'd like you to explain why you changed the 7th day forecast by 10 days. And I said, really? You want me to explain all this? And I'm like, okay, grab a seat, and I said, listen, it's my name out here. So if I say something, it's going to fall back on me. It's not going to fall back so much on the station. And I said, let me show you the model. The computer model was suggesting a 20-degree drop. Now, am I going to come out and do a 20-degree drop in the forecast? I could, but we know as we go out farther in time, probably not wise to do that. So I did take it down 10 degrees, and it ended up being about 8 or 9 degrees, where it was. So when we dropped it, it was just new information that came in, and it ended up being fairly close, within a degree or two. But going the full 20, we just know experience-wise, you just don't do that. Mm-hmm. So I found it fascinating because why'd you do that? Why did you change Bob's forecast from the night before? I'm like, well, we got new information in. What do you do with that information?
So Erik, do you think people are just wise enough to know that if you're telling me what's happening 2 weeks from now, or in AccuWeather's case, 39 days from now on Memorial Day, that they kind of know, it's the accuracy level is going to be pretty slim? But then my question is, if they tend to know that, which is why stations and weather organizations are getting away with it, then why are they even posting it?
Well, yeah, I tend to agree. I think what you first said, that the large part of the viewing audience will kind of think, they'll take it with a grain of salt, that, okay, that's what it could be, but you know how the weather is, it's going to change. A lot of viewers kind of say things like that. Now, in terms of trends, we all know, the Weather Service has been doing 6 to 10 day outlooks, 30-day outlooks, and 90-day outlooks. Mm-hmm. Now, that's a different approach. Looking at, what it might be on a longer range trend. But details like that, it's interesting. On the flip side of that, sometimes you still get questions from someone. Here it is, here we are in April, and someone might ask me, Erik, we are going to have a wedding on June 10th. What's the weather going to be? And I'm like, well, let's see. With accuracy, I'll give you the sunrise. I'll give you sunsets.
And even that. Right?
Even that. I'll give you what the climatological normals are: normal high, normal low. But down here in South Florida, it's actually not a bad bet to tell them, well, it's going to be 93 for the high, and we're going to get showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon. It'll cool down through the 80s into the evening, and we'll see overnight lows in the low 70s. Because for about 4 months straight, day after day, that's exactly what happens. So down here, it's kind of maybe easier to look that far out in that way.
Yeah, it's like, oh, go ahead.
Isn't it like forecasting in Hawaii?
Yeah,
right.
A little bit. That's been part of the joke too. Yeah, from the weathercaster side, as you know, and I've done as well. They down here in South Florida in the summertime, why do we need you? We know it's going to be low 90s. We know we're going to see storms in the afternoon. Well, it's when we have one of those, hurricanes come our way. That's why you need us at that time, right. So on and so forth. But there's lots of kidding around in the summer season about that.
Yeah. Well, it's darn interesting too, how the public, people who hear forecasts, they have these weird contradictions. On one hand, they expect you to give the wedding forecast for June 10th. On the other hand, next breath, they'll say, meteorologists are never right anyways, but they want a forecast for, 3 months in advance. And it's just like, this doesn't compute. And the other thing that sticks out to me about this is just how little people understand probabilities to begin with. 20% chance of rain. Oh, it's supposed to rain. What? That's what people will say. There's a 20% chance of rain tomorrow. High of 55. Oh, it's supposed to rain tomorrow. Okay. No, it's not. That's not 20%, but that's what people take and run with. So I don't know. This is high level stuff that I don't know.
What are guys? What are some of the more popular models? How far out do they tend to go?
Wow, the models have changed so much over the last 20 years. I mean, you can go. Well, if you look at the like Eric was talking about, the outlooks, months, and really, you know, and not to bash the Farmer's Almanac, because it was actually using equations. It wasn't like farmers, you know, it's actual scientific data. So they were using models that far out decades ago, right, Eric?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they would claim too they have some kind of secret sauce, so to speak.
Everybody's got some.
We're mixing in, you know, the solar sun cycle too, as far as how that would affect longer range trends. And of course, they love the weather folklore side of things. You know, before we had these computer models, before we had these fancy satellites and radar, what do we have? Well, we had the woolly worm, and we had, you know, what's the vegetation doing? What are the animals doing? Kind of interesting, you know, looking at that, and they still talk about that as well. Kind of the fun side of, you know, how Mother Nature or nature itself would try and predict what the longer range weather trend's going to be.
I prefer that because then that's the woolly worms that are wrong and not us.
I mean, it's groundhog. It's the greatest thing ever, right? You know, you just say a dang groundhog. I can't believe he is wrong. I can't help it. You know, I was just relaying information. What are you talking about?
Everything old becomes new again. So maybe that's the route we're going back to eventually.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. But we have the climate models. You have several different climate models, that sort of thing. But I mean, geez, it's.
I just don't understand how AccuWeather can tell me 39 days from now it's going to be brilliant sunshine. The temperature, I can understand.
You'll be amazed if you look at a graph, Phil, about how close to climatological normals their forecasts become after, you know, a little while. It definitely and you know, they'll definitely. I mean, that's their trick. Is
they just throw in a cloudy day here or there.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I don't know what kind of. I mean, I'm sure they do something with like how the pattern cycles and stuff, you know, something like that to time it or whatever. But by the time you get to like day 60 to 90, it's basically like, here's 5 degrees above average. Here's 5 degrees below average for a high. And it's just like right in that little narrow corridor once you get out there. So,
you know, and Brady interned at AccuWeather. If he were here tonight, he might have a few words to say about that. But I'll tell you what, we always want listeners, we want to know what you guys think on this subject. So go ahead and email us at questions@stormfrontfreaks.com, or go ahead and find us on Twitter. We're still on Facebook for now. We might change that soon. But anyway, tag us your thoughts so we can go ahead. We'll share that on our next show and give you a little shout out. We're going to go ahead and take our final break. We want you to go ahead and refill your drinks. And excuse me, when we come back, it's time to share our amazing WX resources and find out why there is now a #WeatherFools t-shirt. All right, so hey, that just about does it for this episode of Stormfront Freaks Podcast. Thanks for listening and watching. As always, before I share the secret of who our next guest is going to be, if you enjoy our show, do us a favor, leave us a great review on your podcast app. If you're listening right now, a lot of times your podcast app will have a chance to leave a comment or review. Just make it great. Don't forget to subscribe to the show by hitting your podcast app subscribe button. Works just like a magazine or newspaper subscription. If you hit subscribe, it just assures that when we post the next show, it'll be delivered right to your podcast inbox so that you can listen to it the moment it's released, because some podcast apps, they won't make it available immediately unless you subscribe. So go ahead and subscribe so you get it right away. Hey, special thanks to our guest, Erik Salna.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, man. That concept he's got, I'm giddy about that. That's a cool idea.
It's going to be really cool.
I'm going to be first in line, baby.
Absolutely. And so our next episode is in 2 weeks. We'll be recording on May 3rd with Christy Bechtel of Barren Threat Weather. It's a company that provides some great weather software and apps that we'll be talking about on that show. If you'd like to watch the recording live at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. Go ahead and check out check out the YouTube channel we have. Just search Stormfront Freaks on YouTube and you'll find our channel. Unless you guys got anything else for Maz and Chris, I'm going to go ahead and signal the all dudes all clear. And we'll catch you guys next time. Good night.
Good job.
Thank you for listening to the Stormfront Freaks podcast. To subscribe and be notified when new episodes of our bi-weekly show are available, you can go to Apple Podcasts on iTunes, Google Play, or your favorite podcast app and search for Stormfront Freaks. If you would like to contact us with questions or make comments about the show, shoot us an email to questions@stormfrontfreaks.com or follow us on Twitter @StormfrontFreak. We'd love to hear from you. For show notes, additional information about this episode, as well as past and upcoming shows, videos, photos, and more, visit our website at stormfrontfreaks.com. While you're there, check out the interactive radar provided by our friends at zoomradar.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/stormfrontfreaks. Join us next time and tell a friend about the Stormfront Freaks podcast.
Whoops.
All right, so you guys see this. Here's the hurricane replacement names list. So they've got even numbered years, odd number of years, Atlantic and Pacific. And then if you go to the comments down below, you know how it's like a anime character?
Yeah.
And so this one says, I made the page, but I wasn't signed in. And the next one said, help, please, can someone help me to edit this page? I'm not a good editor. Thanks a lot.
It's probably the daughter of the person who makes the name.